Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday, the 19th of November 2021. Now, it might be an international break this week, but there's been lots to get through, so without any further ado, let's get on with it, and we'll start by talking about those World Cup European qualifiers, really. We're at the stage now where we know the teams that have automatically qualified for the World Cup in Qatar next year, and we also know which teams are in the playoffs. So, just to have a quick run through those, then the teams that have qualified so far from Europe are as follows. We've got Belgium, Croatia, Denmark, England, who had two comfortable victories in the last two games, beating Albania by 5 goals and then beating San Marino by 10 goals. And it could have been more, to be fair. There was a goal that probably should have been allowed as well, maybe two, and one that was allowed, which probably shouldn't have been a penalty because the guy just stuck his hand up, but that was a bit bizarre. So 2 wins there for England, and then we've got France, Germany, and we've got the Netherlands, Serbia, Spain, and Switzerland. They're the teams that have automatically qualified. Into the playoffs, we've got 6 teams seeded. Now, including those seeded teams are Portugal and Italy, who missed out in the last games. Portugal were beaten by Serbia in the last game, so that put them out of it, and that's into the playoffs. They lost 2-1 at home after leading early on in the game, but Alexander Mitrovic scored a last-minute winner to give Serbia the victory and put them through. The previous game they'd been a little bit complacent, perhaps resting some of the players against the Republic of Ireland, and they managed to draw and could easily have lost that game. And then, so they're one of the seeded teams, and obviously Italy are the other team who missed out on the last game, managing to draw against Northern Ireland. A shock result, a 0-0 draw there. Again, towards the end of the game, Northern Ireland looked more likely to score perhaps at times than Italy, so they'll be disappointed about that. So they're in the playoffs as well. They're seeded into the playoffs. There's 6 teams seeded. Amongst the other seeded teams are Wales and Scotland. Wales had a couple of really good results. They managed to demolish Belarus 5-1 on the Saturday. Gareth Bale made his 100th appearance for Wales, but had to go off at half time, and he didn't put in an appearance at all against Belgium. I think he said there was no injury, but he quite clearly isn't fit, hasn't played for nearly 2 months before that. So apparently they were saying he couldn't even play golf because his swinging arm wouldn't work. So how true that is, I'm not sure. And then we've got Scotland, who put in some really good performances as well in their last 2 games, and they're both seeded, so they'll be looking to qualify for the World Cup. It'll be difficult if they get through the semi-finals. The one-legged of the semi-finals, and the draw's made for the semi-finals on the 26th of November. The games are played, I think, March next year, March and possibly early April. I'm not sure when exact dates. But the other teams that are also in the playoffs that I haven't mentioned are Poland, Sweden, Turkey, Ukraine, Russia, North Macedonia, and then you've got Austria and Czech Republic, who qualified through their performances in the Nations League the previous year. So they're the 12 teams that will be duking it out to get the last, I think, probably 3 spots from Europe to go. I think there was 10 have already qualified, 6, 7, 8, yeah, and then I think it's 13 already altogether. It should qualify, so 10 plus 3 from the playoffs to go through from the European team. So that's brought us up to date with the qualifiers for the World Cup from Europe. The South American qualifiers are still going on. I haven't even looked at the African ones because it's really complicated, and the other countries. So we'll catch up on that at some future point when we know more about what's going on. Okay, this weekend sees the return of the Premier League, and Chelsea will be looking to maintain their lead at the top. They're away to Leicester. That's on BT Sport tomorrow lunchtime, 12:30 p.m. Then a Saturday evening game sees Liverpool at home to Arsenal at Anfield. So 2 good TV games for Saturday. Then on Sunday, again, not bad either. We've got Manchester City against Everton at 2 p.m. at the Etihad. And then at 4:30, we've got Tottenham versus Leeds from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's at 4:30 Sky. They're the 4 main TV games this weekend in the Premier League. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. Now we're back at, there's a lot of pressure still on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United. They're at Watford. That should be a win for them, you'd think, but you never know. There's been a lot of talk in the last couple of days, but he may be getting replaced, and the favourite for the job is Brendan Rodgers, who's denied it all. He's happy at Leicester, he says. So we'll see if there's any, they say there's no smoke without fire, but we'll see. Steven Gerrard takes charge of his first match at Aston Villa. They're at home to Brighton. I'm hoping for at least a draw, but I like to think they'll win that game. But he never got to know it first game. And Dean Smith, who was obviously left Villa, his first game in charge in Norwich is against Southampton, which is the team he played his last game for Villa against. I think I saw something saying that's the first time that's ever happened in Premier League history, when a manager's had his last game against the same club and the first game against the same club again. So Norwich, they might have a bounce a little bit again. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Norwich. I think he's a good manager, as Dean Smith. I think he was a little bit unlucky to lose his job at Villa, and he'll do a decent job at Norwich. But whether it'll be good enough to keep them up, I'm not too sure. So they're the main points from this weekend's forthcoming action in the Premier League. In the Champions League midweek as well coming up, we've got some crucial games. The big ones Wednesday night, Manchester City against PSG at the Etihad again. That's a big game for them. Effectively, we've got Villarreal against Man United on Tuesday night, and we've also got Chelsea against Juventus, another big game on Tuesday night, and then we've got Liverpool and Porto as well as the Man City game on Wednesday. So they're the English teams playing in the Champions League. I haven't had time to look at the Europa League games, but all I can remember from saying last time is that West Ham are through anyway, and the other teams are sort of like still battling to try and qualify. They've got 2 games left yet anyway, I believe, just like they're having the Champions League game weeks. So we're on week 5. So we'll keep up with results, and we'll bring up exactly what happens in next Friday's podcast. Okay. Now moving away from that, we're going to look at the Conference National. Halifax are back in action this weekend. They're away to Dover. I'd like to think they'll win this game. Dover are struggling at the bottom of the league. Have had all points knocked off from the previous misdemeanours. Town warmed up with a 7-1 victory at Ulster during the week, just to keep them sharp, I suppose, match sharp. So it's a long journey to Dover. Then they've got the big game against Wrexham next Tuesday at the Shea. That's a big match. Wrexham are starting to hit some goals. They've had, I think, 5 and 6 in the last 2 matches. And I can't remember if they've played since, actually. I don't think they've played again since, but they're really going well at the moment, and obviously got a lot of money behind them, so I'm going to miss that game, unfortunately. I'll be isolating for 3 days because I've got a hospital thing next Friday, so that's a bit disappointing. I'll miss that, but that's life sometimes, I suppose. It's just a bit of a nuisance, but hey, that's how it is. So that's where we are with Halifax at the moment. So we'll move away from football now, talk about cricket. And in the T20 World Cup final, Australia comfortably defeated New Zealand by 8 wickets. Good performances in the final by Mitchell Marsh, who scored 77 out. He was a man of the match. And an unbeaten, well, he was unbeaten, should I say. And then David Warner, who's been named man of the tournament, he also added 53 in the final. He batted well in the final as well. Kane Williamson put up a good fight for New Zealand. He scored a fantastic 85, but it wasn't enough. And the bowling side let them down. I remember seeing one particularly bad over. I think it was by Ish Sodhi, who conceded about 22 or 23 runs, and ultimately that put them out of the game at a vital stage. They were probably on the ropes anyway. To be fair, Australia looked pretty comfortable, but that over in particular made it look even more one side of it probably was. Couple of other things I want to mention in cricket, in the local cricket scene. First of all, let's say congratulations to my friend Mike Jakeman on being appointed as the captain of the second 11 at South Aram. There was a nice little bio about him since he's joined South Aram, since moving to Halifax, so that was good to see. And congratulations, Mike takes over from one of my old Quiz League adversaries, Martin Repion. So yeah, good luck to Mike in his new role. I'm sure he's looking forward to next season already, as are the rest of the people at South Aram. Also, I'd like to mention that next Friday it is the Halifax Cricket League dinner at the venue at Parkisland. There are tickets still available, I believe. If it's not true, please let me know otherwise in the comments below. But if you look on the Halifax Cricket website, it tells you to get in touch with your local club, your own club, or there is a mobile number on there to ring as well if you're still interested in going. It's open to anyone, so I'm sure it'll be a good night. Obviously, I am unable to attend because of other things going on that day, but yeah, it should be a good event, so something to look forward for you all that are going, so enjoy. We're going to move now on to stock cars, and just to confirm that Tom Harris has defended his title in the National Shootout Series. He won it, so he's the national champion for a 3rd time. It was somewhat under challenge from Frankie Wayman Jr. going to the last round. Having Ryan Harrison was second, but unfortunately he travelled to America to race out there, so he missed the final round. But it pretty much in the heats it was more or less sealed when Harris come 3rd in Heat 1 behind Craig Finnegan and 68-year-old John Lund. And then you've got Heat 2. Frankie Wayman Jr. failed to finish the race, so even though they were on double points, Harris extended his lead and he finished 3rd in the final as well. So he had a good meeting all round. Final won by Matt Newson. Nice to see Matt winning the final. He doesn't always get the credit he deserves. He does a lot of behind the scenes to help drivers with his hire cars, but it doesn't bring many finals. So it won one. So nice to see Matt winning that. Yes, that's the stock cars. And Speedway. Confirmation that Oxford are back in Speedway. They're going to be in a Championship League And the announcement was made yesterday that Scott Nicholls will be the captain and lead them forward for the next season. So good luck to Oxford back in the sport. Look, track I like going to. Also keep an eye out for the new track at Northside at Workington. That's been worked on now as well. So we'll see what the developments are going to be like there. But I've seen some pictures. It's very basic at the moment, but I'll keep you abreast of what's going on there as well as they look to return to some kind of league racing. Yeah, okay. Next, we're on to Rugby League, and in the world of Rugby League, Halifax Panthers fixtures in the Championship were announced earlier this week, and their first game of the season is away at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium at Batley. That'll be followed by a home match against London. Other highlights are Good Friday, the local derby away to Bradford Bulls at Odstall, and the Big Bash event returns this season at Blackpool. I think that's the last weekend of July. The Challenge Cup final is on the last weekend, the bank holiday weekend at the end of May. And at the end of the season, Halifax's last two games are going to be quite tough, so they want to try and get enough points on the board before it comes to the crunch, because they've got Widnes, I think, away and Featherstone at home last game of the season, so they're going to be tough ones to win. So they'll need to get the points on board, and they'll be looking to at least emulate what they achieved as finishing third in the league this season and having a good playoff run as well if they can. So yeah, that's what's happening in the rugby league world. Moving on to rugby union now, and last weekend in the autumn internationals, we got a good result for England against Australia. They beat them 32 points to 15 and end up. Australia got back to 16-15 at one point, but it ended up being a fairly comfortable victory for England. So they'll be happy with what the outcome was there. Ireland had a good win against New Zealand. That's the second time at home in a row to beat them. It's only the third time ever, but they beat New Zealand by the All Blacks by 29 points to 20. The only problem coming out of the game was that Johnny Sexton, the captain, was injured and may be out for some time, probably out the rest of the autumn internationals, but they'll be really pleased with the result there. In other matches, Scotland were beaten by 15 points to 30 at home to South Africa, and Wales defeated Fiji by 38 points to 23. In this week's highlights from the Rugby Union Internationals, we've got England against South Africa, we've got Wales against Australia, and France against New Zealand. So certainly some tasty games to look forward to there for you Rugby Union fans. And then finally, what we're going to talk about is something my friend Pete asked me about. Pete Barraclough last week was about the NFL. It's coming to the sharp end of the season now, more or less. We had week 10 last week, and we've got a week 11 coming up this weekend. And then we've got the Thanksgiving games, which I'll mention in a moment. One of the main news topics recently in NFL has been the release of Odell Beckham Jr. He was traded to the LA Rams from the Cleveland Browns after a little bit of, shall we say, outrage about the way the team was using him. So I think they decided the best thing was to trade him. So he's now playing with the LA Rams. In his debut, he suffered defeat. They were beaten with the Rams by 31 points to 10 by the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers. So not an auspicious start for him, but obviously we'll keep an eye on his progress as the season goes on. The Browns without Beckham were steamrolled by the Patriots, Pete's team, funnily enough, by 45 points to 7. And they're starting to come strong now with the Patriots. They're doing well. Other teams that are looking good in the AFC, Baltimore Ravens are doing well. The Titans were mentioned as being like sort of out of the running, but they've had six victories in a row, so they're doing really, really well at the moment. The Chiefs are picking up again now. They had a good week this week is gone, and we've also got they had a rare occasion this weekend of an actual draw after overtime. The Steelers only managed to draw this weekend. I had a bet on that game actually, and it just got voided, so at least I got my money back. That's all the AFC in the AFC news. In the NFC, the Cowboys have performed well most of the season. They've won 7 of their 9 games so far. Other than that, we've got the Cardinals performing really well. The Rams have been doing well until they were beaten this weekend. They've won 7 out of 10, and so they're 7-3. Cardinals are 8-2, and then in the North, NFC North, that was the West. In the North, we've got the Packers who have got 8-2, and then in the South, the Bucks, obviously with Big Tom Brady's, they're 6-3. They're top. Saints are struggling a bit. New Orleans Saints 5-4. So, and the Panthers are struggling as well. So, all the teams in the South are on losing runs apart from the Panthers who won the last game. So that's what's going on there. coming forward to week 11, the game week 11, which is this weekend, and we've already had a victory for the Patriots. They won the Thursday night game. They beat the Falcons. They nilled them. It was 25 points to nil. And then coming forward on Sunday, we've got Bears against Ravens, Vikings against Packers, Bills against Colts, Browns against Lions, Panthers against Washington FC, Titans take on the Texans, the Jaguars are taking on the 49ers, Jets and Dolphins, Eagles Saints, Raiders and Bengals, Chiefs and Cowboys, Seahawks and Cardinals, Chargers and Steelers, and then you've got the Bucks against the Giants. And this all leads into the Thanksgiving week when we've got 3 games during the day in US time. In America, we've got the Lions taking on the Bears, we've got the Cowboys against the Raiders, and we've got the Saints against the Bills. So plenty of action for you to get your teeth into there in the world of NFL. So I think I've rounded up quite well there what's going on in the world of NFL. We'll look at it again next weekend to see next week to see exactly what happened in the results over the weekend and see if it changes the tables and there's any other news, any more big news coming out of the world of NFL. So I think that's just about it for this week. So like I say, as I always say, if there's anything you think I haven't covered or anything else you'd like to see covered that hasn't been, just give me a shout, let me know. But for now, I think that's it. So thanks for watching as always. Thanks for the support. It's been really good. And I'll see you all again next week. Thanks for now. Bye.